And Reed gets literary advice from his fans.
Well, I'm not sure which.
Which?
My fans or my family? This is a classic. I got an email, as we all do get these great emails from fans. And I think it was for Soul Patch, a book that mind you, was nominated for an Edgar and won the Seamus Award, in which someone proceeded to sort of say it was like damning with faint praise. But in which she took me to task for typos in the book and proceeded forever, going on and on, the pages, and how it ruined her enjoyment of the book. And then, of course, at the end says, and if you are in need of hiring a proofreader and copy editor, I would gladly offer you my services, and puts her rates down at the bottom. and I think I might have considered it for a nanosecond had she not misspelled its twice in the first two sentences. Oh, that was a happy family. It was all I could do. Honestly, I don't ever answer bad reviews, and I never answer, if people write me nasty letters, I try not, but it really was all I could do. Not to say, hey lady, fuck you!
Now, Lou and Marcus both are involved in career writing outside of their
We're just
novels.
involved, actually.
They're involved.
You just outed us, thank you.
Yeah, we can have a double wedding.
Lou, why don't you tell us about your first pitch in Hollywood?
I'm a screenwriter mostly, and my first pitch to a studio was for this project, and I had the way it works in Hollywood is you develop an idea with the producer, and then you go with the producer into the studio and pitch it to the studio, and the studio says, yes, we'll buy it, or no, we won't buy it. I was working with this woman who's a really great producer, but she started things off really badly the morning of the pitch, because she called me and she goes, look, this is in the bag, just don't screw it up, which is like just the last thing you want to hear. And so everything went wrong from that minute on. Like I got lost. It was, I never get lost in LA. I used to live there.
Are you crying? Are you crying? There's no crying in baseball!
Come up here and take your seat, sir.
I can't compete with that. So I got lost, and I got there, and again, there's a theme here. I was very sweaty when I got to
The shingles again.
and I was really nervous, and I walk in the room, and the producer had met me there, and so the executives were over here, the producer was here, and I saw the producer first, and she went to, we knew each other by now, we worked together, so we went for the air kiss on the cheeks. And something went wrong, and I'm still not quite sure what happened or why. It was like she was shorter than me, and I hit my head the wrong way. Anyway, I ended up kissing her on the neck. This woman, who I didn't know at all, really, and she's my producer, in front of these three studio executives, and just what are you doing? And so the whole, I don't know how it happened, and she didn't know how it happened either. So the whole pitch, she was just staring at me like, what did you just do? And I had no idea where I was, and I got my notes messed up, and I gave the wrong notes, and I lost this huge job because I kissed her on the neck. And believe it or not, I didn't work with her again. I don't know what happened. She went to the parking garage, and I don't know what happened.
Marcus has had some pretty interesting experiences with his, not really Hollywood. You weren't in Hollywood, right?
No. I was in a loading dock in Atlanta. Easily confused. I had a television show last year on Travel Channel where I would go to a different city and tell the stories the crime stories that defined that city. It was a lot of fun, and I got to do a lot of, meet a lot of fascinating people and do a lot of very stupid things, which is generally entertaining to me. So getting attacked by a dog, okay. Trying to land a plane I didn't know how to land. Yeah, no, I'm in for that. But before I got the show, you have to do a pilot, and the way it works for a channel like the Travel Channel is the pilot isn't going to get aired. It's to show them, and they'll give you a little bit of money to put this thing together, and you need to make as strong an impression as you possibly can. So we were doing Chicago. We were doing the 1968 riots, the DNC riots, and the idea was to understand, as a crime writer, to understand both sides, which mostly is not what we do. We just sit around with no pants on and make shit up, to be clear. But that's just not good TV. No one wants to see that. So the idea is I'm trying to understand both sides, and the director, who's since become a good friend of mine, but at the time, but is also, even now, still a bit of a psychopath, had this idea that I would both undergo riot training from a cop, learn what the cops might have been taught, and get pepper sprayed. And he said it just like that. Like he just said it, he just sort of dropped it in the middle of a phone call. He's like, yeah, you undergo riot training and get pepper sprayed. So we were thinking Tuesday. And I have this problem. I'm half Irish and I just go with things. So I'm just like, yeah, sure. Let's spray toxic chemicals in my eyeballs for sure, yeah. So
That's when his wife took out extra insurance.
she's still hoping that pays out. I think. She's spending on the insurance, not on me. So I sort of forget about it, where there's a lot to do, and then the day comes, and it's, oddly enough, they have a hard time finding an actual police officer who will pepper spray a civilian for no reason. And so then they bump it down to, to security consultants. And then they bump it down to a guy in a loading dock. Who did actually do a little bit of consulting, so he told me, no evidence of that, but I took his word for it. And we wander into the loading dock, and he's explaining to me the things that can go wrong with pepper spray, which is not something that I had considered when I agreed to do this for a show that did not exist. One of them being that, and it's clear that this happened rarely, but on occasion, if your eyes are open just the right way, it's a stream, it's a sharp stream. It can puncture your retina and inject pepper spray into your eyeball. Not on your eyeball, but like deep into your eyeball. Pepper spray it's the same ingredient that makes hot peppers hot. It's capsaicin, yeah. I don't remember exactly, but it's something. Nathan, how many times stronger than the habanero? Where are you?
Like 4 times.
4 times. It's more than 4 times. Habanero is like 100,000. It's 2 million Scovilles? 5 million Scovilles? 5 million Scoville units. A habanero is 100,000 Scoville units. So rather significantly more powerful. And he's explaining this could be in my eyes. And as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, that doesn't sound like a good plan. And aren't I a writer? I'm not even supposed to have pants on. I'm desperately trying to stall the guy. And he says, so what an officer would do is shake it up and whoosh. I mean, nothing. He ninjas me out of nowhere. And I go flying backwards, just jerk backwards with my eyes closed. And it occurs to me, I don't even know if the cameras are running. I really don't even know. I don't even know if this guy who called me was an actual television producer. As it turned out, he was. But it was not my brightest hour.
Tom also does some work outside of writing. And he made a great first impression on the boxing
Well,
commission.
yeah,
Is that what it is?
I'm a professional boxing judge, and about 9 years ago, now in boxing there's all sorts of gradations of the levels of fights and stuff like that, and I do pretty high level fights now, but back then I worked a lot of shows in union halls and stuff like that. It's basically guys like me and Reed without their shirt on hitting each other, something like that.
I would see that fight.
Yeah.
That was last year, Saturday
That's
night.
right. So about 9 years ago, I got a call from the athletic committee. I live in upstate New York, and the athletic commission is down around Wall Street, New York City, and they're tough New York guys and stuff like that. I get a call like 9 years ago, and they assigned me to a title fight in Madison Square Garden, my first time. I'm pretty excited. That sounds pretty cool. And the secretary for the office emails me and says, "Gonna need a photo for your all-access pass for the Garden and for the Jumbotron scoreboard. You know, these are the judges for the fights." Wow, this is pretty freaking cool, right? So I'm looking for a headshot. You know, this is before I was published and stuff, so I don't have any headshots around. Now, okay, a little backstory. I got a wacky friend named Rick, not related to Bob, but Rick. Rick and I used to fight, used to spar, box together, and Rick's got the maturity level of like an 11-year-old, and he moved away, and he would send me emails every now and then. He'd be making fun of me or something, and he had figured out how to draw stick figures in Microsoft Word. And, you know, so one day he's sending me stupid things and he's making fun of me, and I just keep ignoring him. And he keeps upping the ante with the stupidity of the stick figures. And he starts on a theme of somebody we knew at the gym or something like that. And he winds up, and I just keep ignoring him, but he winds up sending me a stick figure, how do I say this in the library, of two guys in boxing gloves having anal sex. That's one way to say it. The guy bent over.
You didn't water that down at all.
No. The guy bent over has Tom written over his head. He labeled the file Tom Pick. Now, I had only been on this job for about a year and a half, and it was the first time I had used a Mac computer. And what I didn't know about Mac computers was that you could save more than one file under the exact same name. I also didn't know that if you just opened the file and didn't save it, it still got saved on your computer. Okay, flash forward 4 years later, and I get assigned to Madison Square Garden, and they need a photo for my ID and for the Jumbotron for the nationally televised HBO World Title event. So that day I was at work, excited, and I thought, geez, a headshot. Hey, I work at a special ed school. They took a picture of me last week for the bulletin board. Let me go get that and find the staff. I find Beth, the music therapist. I said, Beth, can you email me that photo you took of me? She said, sure, I'll send it right over. The name of it is Tom Pick. So I forward that to Madeline at the New York State Athletic Commission. And later that day, after work, after office hours, I open up my email, and there's a note from Madeline that says, great, but I don't think you want this. Well, that's kind of a funny response. And I hit the attachment and then went, oh.
It does give a whole new meaning to let's get ready to rumble.
Well, there's no one for me to call because the offices are closed. I talked to Madeline the next day. She goes, hey, Tommy, I was married to a Brooklyn cop for 20 years. I've seen worse. And I said, oh, Madeline, thank you for understanding. I really apologize. I'm terribly embarrassed. She said, Tom, don't worry about it. Don't worry. Don't go. I said, Madeline, that's great, thanks. You didn't mention it to any of the guys. Goes, oh, yeah, Ralph and Hugo got a real kick. The next night, I'm in Madison Square Garden, in the locker room. We have to fill out these score sheets. And I'm in Madison Square Garden. This is where Ali fought Frazier. This is the Mecca. And one by one, the guys from the athletic commission come in and go, hey, you guys upstate don't have a lot on your mind. Quite a photo of you on the Jumbotron. One after the other. That's now, I don't know, it's a decade ago. And About once a year, Madeline emails me and says, you know, the state came to clean out the computer and I had to make sure I backed everything up. Don't worry, you're safe.